When you open the quiz, obviously you want to title it something. You could add a description, and then you start adding questions. So what I'm going to do is show you the different types of questions. So I would not, this isn't a title it's something, this is a write whatever the question is, and then you have your answers. Now here are the different types of questions. First is a short answer. That's usually going to be like a sentence. This is like Twitter. It has a certain number of characters that are allowed, but a short answer is what it sounds like. Couple words, phrases, a sentence max. Paragraph, though, is exactly what it sounds like. Now we need the longer answer, couple of sentences, several lines. Multiple choice is exactly what it sounds like. You add multiple options, they pick the one they want. A checkbox is exactly what it sounds like, where it's just like multiple choice, but instead of just one right answer, now they could check all that apply. Drop down is just multiple choice, but it'll visually look nicer because it'll just only give you one option at a time and you drop down to see all of them. File upload, and then you see the default is doing this. What this would mean is maybe if it was like a paper related assignment or they had to create an image, they would upload a file attachment. But in order to do this, it says, files will be uploaded to the form owner's Google Drive. Respondents will be required to sign into Google when file upload questions are added, which means that they have to be in their Gmail in order to take the quiz, and whatever they upload will now appear in your Drive. So they don't advise this unless you can trust everyone. So I've never actually done a file upload one. Linear scale. Now this could be a whole, how are you feeling today? 1, like crap, 5, fantastic. There you go. Multiple choice grid and the checkbox grid will look the same, but the difference is just as it sounds. So if it's a checkbox grid, you could check all that apply. Multiple choice grid, you can only check one in each row. Then we have a date one. Unfortunately, there's only one option, and that's you'd have to do month, day, and year. So for example, if I want to do what year was Romeo and Juliet published, I can't because we don't know the month and day, we only know the year. If I wanted to ask a history question, though, on what day was Pearl Harbor, well, we know month, day, year, so we could do that. And then last type of question is time, which, again, I don't have an option to change it, and the default is a time of day, not number of hours. So I can't say, how long did these two characters know each other? All right, no, but I can say, what time of day did these two characters meet? AM, PM, pick a time. For every single one of these questions, you can create an answer key, which means make it out of so many points, add feedback. So if they get it wrong, here's your response. For example, on ones where there's multiple, like multiple choice, checkbox, drop down, when you do an answer key, you can actually click what the right one is. So you can delete a question if you don't like it. You can duplicate it if you're like, oh, I already created the format. I want to keep adding more multiple choice questions. Just keep clicking that. What you should do here, though, is make it required, which will mean that they can't even submit it until they've answered. So if you don't do this and you did a quiz out of like 50 questions and said answer at least 25, pick the ones you're comfortable with, or if you're trying to do like a survey assessment where it's not graded, it's just, check for understanding, maybe you don't require them, and blank show they don't get it. But required means they won't be able to submit till they've answered everything. So now for these icons right here. So the plus sign just is add questions. All right, this is to import questions. So maybe you already created a quiz and you want to import and find a quiz, and then it'll add the questions for you. Here you could add text description. So what this is let's say I like this in English a lot. I ask a question and it's, what does the following passage mean? And then the answers of what it means would be the multiple choice, but they need to read the passage. So what I could do is quote the passage right here. And then, in theory, what they will see is the question and then a bolded section for them to read, and it's all part of the same question. Here we could add an image, like maybe if I was doing something more creative writing based, I could post a landscape and say in a short answer, describe what you feel while looking at it. You could add a video. So, find it off YouTube. All this is synced with Google Drive. So, it's in your Drive folder. You find the link. No different than if you looked at one of my Google Slide or Google Classroom tutorials. But you could have them watch a video and then answer questions based on that video. You could add a section. So maybe you want to do, for English, I might say, here's the character section, asking questions on character. Here's the plot section. Maybe I want to say, here's on a vocab quiz, here's the definition section, here's the use in a sentence section. There's several ways to do that. Okay. Now, when you are finished with your quiz, or if you want to see how the question looks, you can always go to up here, preview. And then what does the following passage mean? Well, I didn't really create a quiz, so this looks like crap, but this is where you could see what students will see. Now I'm going to show you what a quiz actually looks like once it's been completed. So here I have created a quiz. I could look at teacher view, or as a student, when I open the quiz assignment, I can open it here. And then you'll see here, because it's an attachment, they could fill this out and then they have to personally mark as done so we know it's done. But now, what does my finished quiz actually look like? Well, I made a Romeo and Juliet quiz on Act 3, Scene 1. And so this is what mine looks like. So they have to put their email in. They have to summarize the scene. This is a short answer one, so it's going to be like a sentence. You can design parameters. If a single word or a phrase is good enough, that's your choice. This one is a paragraph. So again, it's more on characters, like a tweet. So in theory, a solid sentence is enough characters. In theory, a solid 5-sentence paragraph is enough. So if it's too short, it'll get marked as wrong. And then you can see here, I did it, analyze the following quotes, and then they can see the quotes right here. Here's what a multiple choice one looks like, and then they click whichever answer. Here's what a checkbox looks like, and I could check all that apply. Here's the drop-down multiple choice, so they would just choose and pick their answer. Here's the linear scale, so they would decide which they believe. Here is the grid option. So this is a multiple choice grid, which means they can only pick one in each row, and they have to pick one in each row or it'll be marked wrong. If you did the checkbox grid, then they could check multiple in each row, because there's not really a lot of solid dates in Romeo and Juliet, but in theory, this is what it'll look like. Again, you have to have month, day, and year. Otherwise, any question you ask where there's not a month, day, and year, students would know. You're going to make them fail the date question. And then same with the time. It is, AM or PM, a time of day only. So if you want how many hours or minutes, you're going to make them fail because they can't answer it like that. You'll see I assigned it so many points on certain ones. Okay, so they can see how many points each thing is. Obviously, no points for your email. And then the last thing is they can send me a copy of my response, which means maybe they want a record of what time they turned it in and what their answers were. They can click that, and they'll get a response of their answers. And then they would click submit. So that is how to create a Google form. And that is what a Google form will look like once it is created.